Actually happy to be back on Monday. Seems to be a great day for everybody, and I appreciate you starting your week with us. We're just about to go live to YouTube, so I just want to give a second there for that to load up, and then we'll get started. Hello, hello, and welcome. So much to share with you. Exciting surprises today and exciting results. So it is so good to be part of this community and part of everything that's happening with the Genius is always very, very exciting. So thank you again. And let me see if I can get this rolling here. All of a sudden, everything slowed down. Okay. All right. Hello and welcome, everyone. Thank you very much for joining. All right. I want to go ahead and welcome everybody who's here, who's watching. It's really nice to have people who are new to our community, people who have been here for years. So thank you very, very much for being here. Thank you for being part of our Genius Biofeedback community. It is wonderful to have you. Okay, let's get started. Okay, you may know or you may not know that we did a research project for 8 weeks. What was the research project? We had over 100 people participate from beginning to end in our research project. What they did is that they balanced on the main part of the Genius, and we're going to show you exactly what they did for just 15 minutes per day. That is all they did with the Genius. They could do anything else that they wanted, but the steady thing that they did was the Genius. By the way, this is Dr. Ariel Policano. I've been working with the Genius for 10 years now. I'm a naturopathic doctor by clinically trained naturopathic doctor, and I've been having the privilege of teaching and training about the Genius for all of this time. And I'm really very, very proud today as we do these results. Like, it's just really cool to see how dedicated our Genius community is and what they were able to do over the 8 weeks. So they would do the 15 minutes of balancing each and every day for 8 weeks. And then each week, at the end of the week and at the very, very beginning, they would go ahead and they were able to help us. They were able to answer our questions with they were able to answer our questions that we gave them with the research questionnaire. So really, really good. So good to have the results. And we're going to show you what those results are right now. All right. And we're probably going to have a special guest join us. At least I'm hoping that we will soon. Trying to help him out on here on the Zoom. Let me just turn this off for 1 second and I'll just be here with you. All right. Okay. All right. I don't know what to do there. So thank you again. We had over 100 people participate with the Genius in our study. We had amazing, amazing results. I really appreciate your dedication and your participation so much for those who participated. All right, so let's go ahead with the daily balancing process. What people did was they balanced for 15 minutes per day with no extra libraries. Then they basically did this process. They utilized today's stress, the body systems, organs, glands, spinal energy, meridians, solfeggio tones, digestion, and Bach flower essences. So this is what they were balancing for 15 minutes each and every day. And we're very, very proud of them. We're very, very happy that they were able to do that and do that balancing each and every day. The point being that they didn't have to use any extra libraries. So that is really, really cool. So they didn't use any extra libraries and so we wanted to have sort of this pure result. There we go. We wanted to have this pure result from people that participated with us in the research, and we were able to get that when we had them basically just do the 15 minutes of balancing each and every day with the main part of the Genius. All right, fantastic. So that's what they did each and every day. And then they would once a week, they would send us a report. And in just a moment, we're going to have an awesome guest join us to talk about the research. So I'm going to bring him up as a panelist, and I'm glad he was able to find his way into the room today. So basically, we had them do this for 15 minutes each and every day. And after they did that, they would do a questionnaire. And let's go ahead, if we have our panelist up here, there we go. So let's go ahead, none of this about the amazing vision of the person who developed the genius. And so I want to bring him on now so he can be part of our discussion today. And I'm so grateful that he was able to find his way into our class today. I want to bring to you the developer of the genius, Ryan Williams. All right, Ryan, are you there?
I am, if I can unmute myself and if I can start my video. I should be, yes. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thanks for the invitation. Lovely to be here.
Okay, and Ryan, it's great to have you. And I know so many people who are here, will be so delighted to see that you've joined us. I guess as a little introduction, just to go back and recap with this research study, tell us a little bit about the inception point of the genius. Like, why did you come up with it? And what were you hoping that people would experience?
Well, to be honest with you, I didn't think that a study like this would have gone so well. So from that side, I'm kind of super excited. But, for me, I guess I can consider myself a sort of tech junkie. I've always been intrigued with information-based technology, and I'd probably say that, the majority of in fact, all of my adult life has been centered around using computer-based technology to try to understand the sort of physiology, more efficiently. So going back kind of, 20, 25 years ago, I've been blessed to be involved with, many different types of sort of technologies similar to this. So, I think for me, the taking this type of technology and putting it into a mobile application was, for all intents purposes, like the kind of next step. And, certainly, I mean, looking at the adoption that we've got, and obviously the study that you did here, it really has kind of blown that concept out of the water, where you need to have a large kind of 15, 20, $30,000 piece of equipment that's a kind of standalone, and it's like Windows based, and it's very old and sort of very archaic. I think if you look at what mobile technology is actually bringing to the market now, we are doing a better job with using kind of mobile-based technology, to be able to analyze the body. So from that side, it's been absolutely wonderful. I'm kind of really looking forward to seeing the result here as well. So thank you.
Fantastic. Well, I'm probably gonna bring you in and ask you a little, pepper you with questions as we go along here. So we'll have sort of a natural flow. But yeah, it is really, we are incredibly grateful to you to having, just the vision to do this. And the courage to do it. It's not easy launching something from scratch like you have here. And I agree with you. I think what's really cool is that we got to take this out for the test drive and really see that when people are just balancing, even with the main part of the genius, for just 15 minutes a day, that they can get incredible results. And that's what we saw. So I want to share with our folks here just exactly what they balanced every day. And so what people did was, and I said this at the beginning, I just want to say it again, we have this to share with everybody, the daily balancing process. And I'm going to give you a link. If you go to the blog at geniusbiofeedback.com, we've given a link to the PDF of the exact process that we did so that you could do this if you wanted to. It included today's stress, the body systems, organs, glands, spinal energy, meridians, solfeggio tones, digestion, and Bach flower essences. It absolutely could have been other things on the entire system overview. These were just sort of the best of the best that we just thought, okay, let's go ahead and put these together. It's not too little, it's not too much. And the instructions were to take the reds and the blues and to add them to the main hold tray and then balance them in the main hold tray in progressive insights, all of the items, not just the highs, all of the items for 15 minutes. And that was it, just one time a day for 15 minutes. So that was the charge that we gave to people. And then we asked them to answer a questionnaire at the beginning and then at the end of every week for 8 weeks. And so we want to talk to you about what we discovered as people answered those questions for the 8 weeks. So first of all, this was the questionnaire. Now we also have a copy of this on the blog so that anyone can download the questionnaire. We are not claiming any rights to this questionnaire. If you want to take a copy of it and slap your logo on top or use it for your practice, you are absolutely welcome to do it. You could do it in the current form that you have it. The point is that we wanted people to give their objective results on a scale of 1 to 5 each and every week. We call it a blinded questionnaire because we assume that people will just bring this questionnaire up and answer it. They're not necessarily comparing week to week themselves. We just wanted them to take this test fresh, so we send it to them fresh in the inbox at the end of each and every week. What would they answer when they rated the severity of their symptoms? So a higher score means the symptom was more severe. So if they said, I have back pain, tell us from 1 to 5. I experience it very mildly, or I experience it fairly severely. So from 1 to 5, they would rate. And if they didn't have any pain, they could just leave it blank. So it's 1 to 5. And then we would score it up. So if they had a whole bunch of 5s, then that meant they had a whole bunch of pain in this particular category. So let's look at some of the other ones. I have neck pain, I have joint pain, my pain limits my daily activities, I have headaches, muscle aches, migraines, I have shoulder pain, I have knee pain, all the different types of pain and what people say about their pain. We wanted to rate it from 1 to 5. And we're going to show you a sample of what somebody actually submitted at the very beginning of the study. Now, I just want to talk about the rest. The total people answered 98 questions once a week, right at the beginning, and then all the way to the end of the 8-week time. So we could find out what they were like in the beginning and what they were like at the end, which I'm going to show you an example of in just a moment. So then we asked them about their sleep. I have trouble sleeping soundly through the night. I have difficulty falling asleep. I wake up during the night and have trouble falling back to sleep. I do not wake up feeling rested. I often feel like I want to sleep more hours. And again, tell us the severity of that particular symptom if it applies to you on a scale of 1 to 5. So once again, a higher score means more symptoms. So a higher score means more symptoms. So then we had something in the area of energy. And so they had to answer questions about energy. And again, there was almost 100 questions here. And then we asked them to answer in terms of digestion. Now, digestion by far was the longest part of the questions because we have so many people who have digestive issues. We have so many people who have bloating. We have so many people who have disordered digestion. And because digestion is so much related to the improvements that people experience as well. So digestion and sleep are among the places where people get a lot of results. Okay. So, and we'll bring Ryan back on in just a little bit. Here, he's just taking a break as we go through some of these preliminaries here. And just to clarify, welcome back, Ryan. Just to clarify, these items were put into the main tray and ran one time for 15 minutes. Only the highs and lows, not running 2 to 3 times or rescanning. So just to clarify, no, so Dahlia, that's a great question. And so what we experienced was people ran it just one time on all the items. So one 15-minute round on all the items. They didn't do any rescan. Our goal was to make this as simple as possible so that every person who comes into our midst who wants to run the Genius, they can know this does not have to be difficult. This can be very easy. So one time, and then all the items in the main hold tray. Okay, I loved partaking in the studies. I was impressed with my responses. Even as a longtime user, it was amazing to see my response change so drastically. That's from Jennifer. And Jennifer, thank you for participating. And remember, the results from your questionnaire were really amazing to see that. So did participants record a new voice and picture every day during the week? Sorry, I didn't participate. Yes, they would record a new voice each and every day that they did their testing. All right, let's continue on here. So again, there were 98 questions, scaled 1 to 5. So this one says, my stomach is upset after a meal. I feel uncomfortable after a meal. I experience bloating on a regular basis. I take Tums or something similar. I have heartburn. My food does not digest well. Maybe some of these apply to you. There are many foods I cannot tolerate well. I seem to have food allergies. I avoid fatty foods. So all the way down here, I suspect I have leaky gut, so on and so forth. So we wanted them to answer. Now, by far, some of the worst symptom questionnaires we saw were in the area of digestion. So the severity of symptoms, a lot of people out there, as we suspected, have digestive issues, but we saw them massively improve. But I want you to understand what the questions were and what the study participants did before we show you the results. Okay, so there's couple more sections here that were a bit shorter. And these were the questions for weight, appetite, and blood sugar. I feel I need to lose weight, but I can't lose it easily. I feel tired or sleepy after a meal. I find it hard to stop eating once I start, people who binge. I crave sugary foods. I crave fatty foods. I have to eat many times during the day to keep my blood sugar stable. So all these questions about weight and blood sugar. And then we had a few questions about brain and focus. Now, when we do the study again, we probably will have more questions, or when we do a similar or different type of study, we'll probably do more because we didn't do a lot with brain and focus, but people did make massive improvements here. I find it difficult to focus my attention on tasks I need to do. My attention is lost to distractions. I find it hard to retain information. I experience brain fog. I would like to have more mental clarity, and so on and so forth. So I want you to know the areas that we tested people in with the questionnaire, having to do with sleep, pain, digestion, blood sugar, and brain or focus. So these are the areas where we asked people these questions. And then we added everything up. And each and every week, we documented the total score as well as the scores in all the different areas for every participant. We then took the number of participants, which in total was 103, and we divided all those scores by 103 to get an average score that people experienced at the beginning and the end of each week in the study. And that's how we got our results that you're going to see in just a moment. Now, this is an example of one of our participants who answered the questions. So this was the one on pain. So in the final questionnaire, we actually did add a 0. So I want to make sure we get that questionnaire if you want to use this questionnaire. So I do not experience the symptom or issue. So they had the ability to either leave out an answer or put in the 0. So you could just put a 0 if you don't experience it. But this is very typical. We had a lot of people with a lot of pain, a lot of sleep issues, a lot of digestive issues. And I, even after having done this for a long time, was blown away by the level of improvement that people experience. And I suspect it has a lot to do with the repetition, that people were very disciplined. They did this every day. They didn't miss a day. They were committed. And I think that the momentum of running those fabulous frequencies, and we'll ask Brian sort of what are the elements that are in each and every frequency, sort of those background tones, because I think that makes a difference as well. So we'll talk about that in just a moment. But this was a typical thing that we saw as an answer. A lot of 5s, a lot of 4s. I have headaches. Okay, I have overall pain, generalized pain, shoulder pain. Look at this. I experience plantar fasciitis, a 5. I experience pain that affects my sleep, a 5. Okay, now here is at the end. So it's at the very beginning. Here's at the end of 8 weeks. So here is her report at the end of 8 weeks. Okay, now look at this. So let's go back. It's a little bit different in size, so it might be hard to see. See all these 5s and 4s? Now look at the ending one. Look at this. Let's just take one line item. I have back pain, went from a 5 to a 1. Now the neck pain didn't improve that much, but overall, look at this. I have joint pain. It went to a 0. I should have just done a side by side. My pain limits my daily activities. It went to a 1. And then look at that plantar fasciitis. I experienced pain in my feet at a 5. It went to a 2. My experience of pain affects my sleep. We're going to a 2 here. So that's extraordinary. Okay. Now we cannot make any claims. We're not making any claims of cure. We're not saying you're going to have this experience. We're telling you the story of what this person's experience was. And I don't know of too many drugs that can achieve the same thing. And we're going to look at all the areas that she answered these questions in. So let's go ahead to the next page. I have trouble sleeping soundly through the night. I wake up during the night and I have trouble falling back to sleep. I do not wake up feeling rested. I often want to sleep more hours. Let's go to the after. Oh my goodness, we went from 5s to 2s. I have trouble sleeping soundly through the night, went from a 5 to a 3. I have difficulty falling asleep, went from a 5 to a 2. I wake up during the night, have trouble falling back to sleep. Again, all these 5s ended up being 2s. That is extraordinary. I mean, I am so grateful for the participants that we did this, because we get to see in real time what is happening with people who are using this on a daily basis. And this happened, as I said, over and over and over and over and over again in the 103 people that we looked at. Some people had 87% reduction overall in symptoms. Some people had a very mild reduction. It's when we put them all together on average that you're going to see how the symptoms reduced over time in all categories. So Dale Ann says, I'm so grateful I had a chance to participate in this study. And what do you expect will be the difference in effectiveness between listening to the frequencies from the Genius versus listening to them in the Quantum Capsule? Now, this is why I'm so glad that Ryan is with us, because I want to really compliment him. He took the time to make sure that your frequency, shape, and form that is in your Genius is highly compatible to the one that's in the Quantum Capsule. So therefore, I believe we can speak with confidence that the results that a client will experience in their Quantum Capsule is going to be side by side on parity with what they would experience in the Genius. Ryan, do you have any comments, or do you want to share any of your thoughts on that?
No, I don't. But just to kind of echo what you were saying, yes, bearing in mind when you do export the frequencies, depending on your frequency, shape, and form set within the Genius, that automatically migrates over to the Quantum Capsule, when they import. But also bear in mind, the user from the Quantum Capsule has the ability to kind of chop and change their frequency, shape, and form as well. So, theoretically speaking, if they keep it the same, great. If they make changes, well, that's something that they're entitled to do.
Okay, so I mean, as a practitioner, you can encourage them. Hey, I chose these especially for you. We noted that this frequency and shape and form work the best. And what we did in frequency, shape, and form is, I believe we did alternating.
Mm-hmm.
We did the default sound tones. I think we'll email a more specific report. But as far as my recollection, we did alternating, we did default. And I think that's about what I remember from the frequency, shape, and form. So it's something that sort of people do every single day. And you could tell them, if you want to rely on this report, you could tell them to do something similar. But I feel confident that the results that we're getting in the Genius could be very much aligned with what people are experiencing in their Quantum Capsule. Overall, would you say that sounds about right, Ryan?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, all right, good. That's good. It's good to know. Okay, any thoughts at this time on what you're seeing in these improvements? All right, well, we'll just keep going. So what we're seeing here, again, look at all of these number 5s, right? And then look at this, where we went to with the 3s and the 2s. So this is incredible. Let's look at a few more symptoms that this user experienced. It takes more than 1 hour for me to fall asleep. I toss and turn in my sleep. I wake up more tired than when I went to sleep. And then we're falling down to 2. So extraordinary improvement here. Again, I would challenge any, drug to do the same. I don't think it will. And remember, this is non-toxic. It has no side effects. It's non-addictive. It's super empowering. So this is something we always suspected would be happening with the Genius. And so it's very exciting to see this up close and in person. All right. And then we have some other 5s here. I have sinus. Let's see. Let me just peek over here. What we've got. Okay. So you guys can kind of see, I have muscle or joint aches and pain. I have sinus damage. I feel full when I eat. I feel nauseous at other times, eating. My abdomen feels bloated or distended. I get yeast infections. I seem to react to foods no matter what. I suspect I have leaky gut. I have back pain. So all of these were in the 4s and 5s. Let's go to the end of the study. Look where we've moved to, you guys. I have muscle or joint, these are 2s and 3s now, or even 1s. So I seem to react to foods no matter what. That went from a 4 to a 1. And we've documented the percentage of changes. We're going to show you that in a moment. You'll see I have sinus drainage. So that one went from a 5 to a 2. Really, really incredible. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's go to the next one. So this is brain and focus. You see all these 5s here, and we have a few 3s. Let's go to the end of the study. And we're down to 3s, 2s, and 1s. You guys, this is just very, very exciting. Very cool to see. Let's go to the next one. So this is what people said. We captured a post study questionnaire interview with them. So we captured some of the things that they said. The question was, what did you learn or what did you experience doing the study? I noticed by the second week, I would get very sleepy at the same time every night. I found it easier to fall asleep and I slept more soundly. There's something in the genius that must be resetting or working on the nervous system. Ryan, I leave that question up to you. Is there something in the Schumann resonance, or is there something in the tones or the harmonics that you feel plays throughout the genius? Because the first thing that people tell us is that they sleep better. And so I think there's something inherent within the genius system, maybe on all fronts, that works to revitalize the nervous system in some significant way. My backaches and joint pains were gone by week 2. I have 2 fused vertebrae in my neck since birth, making it hard to find a comfortable position while sleeping, and I often wake up with headaches. The headaches disappeared, and I can now sleep with no pain at night. And it went on also wake up with no, pain and so forth. But that was amazing. Okay, another person. My sleep has improved about 25 to 30%. Falling asleep has been much easier. My joint stiffness has lessened. I feel like there were subtle improvements overall. I didn't have any big issues to monitor. We did have some people who started with a low score, but they even went to an even lower score as they went through the study. What can you share with us about the changes you experienced during the 8 weeks? I have noticed an amazing improvement in all areas of my life. Being consistent daily has been really enlightening. Thank you for the opportunity to do this. So that's what a lot of people said was, hey, I work on my clients all the time, but I rarely take the time to really work on myself. It was so nice to get to do this practice on myself and see that I could make improvements. Hey, this stuff really works. So that, and also the discipline of making time to do it every day, I think for them made a big difference. Do you feel you learned something about running the genius every day? Please let us know more. Yes, so interesting that just sticking to the areas every day has changed so much in my life. I'm anxious to get to run other things now, but it was so worth sticking to the protocol for the 8 weeks. I ran my aura before and after every day, and what a change just from doing those main things on the genius, which is really super cool. What can you share with us? I felt like I had more energy in the morning after running the program. It helped me to wake up. That's really cool. You could replace your cup of coffee or harmful stimulant. What can you share with us about the experience of the 8 weeks? Improved asthma type symptoms and cough past years significantly decreased. Also, fluid issue involving my ears, eyes, nose, lungs, and eliminatory system fluid excess has decreased. That's really cool. So something is shifted in the body because all that mucus and fluid is usually some type of waste in the body or like a stagnation. So it's really cool to see that, got better. Maybe it was the meridians. You feel you learned something about running the genius every day? Yes, I learned the genius is absolutely, convinced me that all is frequency and the genius is a med bed in our hands. Grandkids came to visit, absolutely loved seeing their aura before and after. Okay, that's great. Okay, this person had less pain in the whole body, better sleep, slight weight loss, and more energy after 8 weeks. And this one, overall, I feel better. We saw this time after time after time. So I could have pulled many, many more. We had people who are just like, I'm so happy I did it. I had a great experience. I couldn't believe how much better I felt. Overall, starting with week 1, I noticed how great I felt. I felt better in my body, lighter, like I could get through my day feeling good. The improvements have stood out. The improvements that have stood out the most are increased energy, better sleep and digestion, I will continue to work with the frequencies to make more of a shift in my weight loss and focus. So it's really fun to see these results and to hear from people, right? It's like testimonial after testimonial after testimonial. So now we're going to roll out the graphs. So we're going to roll out the graphs and talk about the different weeks and what people experience. Even the first one that I just slipped to there, it's just like amazing, you guys. So let's look at the average progress over all the areas over 8 weeks. And drum roll, and here we go. So let's explain what this is. Really extraordinary, so excited, and really, Ryan, this is like such a triumph for you and what you've been working on, sort of day and night for all these years. And we look at this, and what we can see is this is the symptoms. Remember I talked about the severity of symptoms? So when we added them all up, all of those 5s, those 4s, they came out to, for the 98 questions, it came out to 200 as a total score. So in just the first week, so we just dropped down, this is nothing done, and then this is at the end of week 1. So you can see this. So week 1 means the end of week 1. Look at the total drop. Did you ever imagine that people would have such a drop in symptoms after 7 days? Because people are always like, oh, when am I going to feel better? Well, how long do I have to do this for? Okay, if you have that Quanta capsule, it's your client with the Quanta capsule. Hey, just do this now for 7 days. We had this incredible shift of 30% improvement in just 7 days. Might be more like 25%, but you get the idea. It was an incredible improvement. You could see the stair step down is just so dramatic in such a short amount of time. So, you can begin to tell people, and just the whole graph really tells the whole story of what happened week by week. And if we actually just see what that is, this is not a 30%, but this is a 16% improvement. So 16% improvement in symptoms in just 7 days. But still, the story, just looking at the graph, it tells the whole story. You have this huge decline in symptoms after just doing this 7 days. And I think 7 days, there's a lot that happens in 7 days. Even in my experience, you have 15 minutes a day and you're building it up. You're getting the frequencies, but the frequencies have a reverberation. Like they're affecting you for that 24 hours after doing the session. And then you're sort of, pinging it again and getting that reverberation and sort of building it up in momentum over time. So if you just look at these little shaded areas here, they kind of tell you about the drop. And I really, the next drop that we sort of see pretty commonly is at the end of week 4. So look at this big drop down. Even though the drop down's on the green bar, it's telling you about the change between week 3 and week 4, right? So it's telling you about how much change there was, and look at that big improvement. So something about the end of week 4, which is going to be 28 days, right? It takes 30 days to change that habit, kind of a thing. So that looks like it's another big sweeping change where you're building all this momentum. But overall, for all the weeks, we're looking at over 50% reduction in that severity score. What's really cool is it wasn't just one person, it wasn't just 10 people, it was 103 people where we saw this on average, this type of improvement. Let's look at some of the individual areas. And so pain, you saw the pain questionnaire, you saw the 5s, you saw the reduction into the 2s and the 1s and how much people didn't have their shoulder pain, they didn't have their back pain, they didn't have their neck pain anymore. And so we start off with a pain score of 30. And this is again, at the end of week 1, we had this huge drop. And I've heard this for people who are on the 14-day trial. So when I talk to them, and how are you doing? What are you experiencing? Pain is one of the reduction in pain is one of the real drivers that gets them into the genius, that they feel motivated to actually get the genius for themselves and for their family. And you can even see another big drop down just at the end of the 14 days. So look at these huge reductions right up at the beginning. So once again, when people are, oh, when am I going to feel better? Well, you could start feeling better in 7 days based on the study that we did. Again, we make no claims, but look at what people told. So this is again at the end, we're at an over 50% reduction. Microphone may be going on and off. So there we go. Okay, so we have over 50% reduction right here on pain. So we went from an overall score of 30, big jump down here. And then again, you see this pattern between week 3 and week 4. It's actually at the end of week 4 showing this drop between these two. You see a big drop there. So again, at the end of sort of 4 weeks of doing this, you saw a big improvement. So at least stick with it for a month, for people who are working on their quantum capsule folks, tell them, we have this huge drop at the end of a month. And then over time, they like it so much, they usually stick with it. They want to make improvements in other areas of their life. So over a 50% reduction in pain, absolutely extraordinary results. Then we've got sleep here. So look at the drop. This is when they started. This is the end of week 1. And look at the reduction after 7 days, just a huge improvement. Remember, that's the severity of symptoms, 5s and 4s, down to 1s or 2s or 2s and 3s. Okay, and then here we go, drop down once again. Do you guys start to see the pattern now? In all the areas at the end of week 4, we get another sort of huge jump. Now, that doesn't mean that there's not improvement from all the way to week 8. It's just that it sort of is more, there's a little bit of a significant drop here, but it's a little bit more consistent over time, but it's steady down to the end of 8 weeks. Now, we don't know what happened after 8 weeks, but this is incredible. You're down to 2s, and when you're down to 2s and 1s, people are pretty happy, right? They're happy. And now with the questionnaires, you can show them, look, you felt better. Because if we had asked any of these people without a questionnaire, what was your experience? It'd be like, I don't really know if it's working. I'm not sure, because you can't tell from day to day what you're experiencing because you're so caught up in the events of your life. So when you give a questionnaire, it really shows people that, hey, oh my gosh, look at this. I made an incredible sweeping change over this time. I can see it in black and white. And so that's why we invite you. You can take this questionnaire. It's a fillable questionnaire. You're welcome to use it in your own practice. All right, fatigue. This means how much were they reporting the severity of their energy being low. And so in the beginning was a 31. And then you can see that drop again after just 7 days. Really, really cool. The rapid improvement that people can experience. You see that sort of nice drop down at the end of week 4. And again, we're at a 50% reduction in symptoms. Brain and focus, similar thing. Big drop down after week 1 and then after week 4, and then just steady steps down. Okay, so Ryan, just what are your thoughts thus far? Do you have any sort of feedback or thoughts about what we're seeing here in these overall graphs?
No, not at all. But just, obviously looking at the trends from kind of week 1 to week 4 is interesting, but I think it's also sort of symbolic in terms of the way the actual body, kind of moves through that healing process or that balancing process. I think, the first week, regardless, I think you should experience, certainly a large portion of the benefits, because in some ways it's probably like weight loss. The first week or two that you make changes to your diet or whatever it is, you're going to have that sort of dramatic change. And I think, being exposed to sort of to these balancing frequencies, it's encouraging, because it actually shows you that, within the first week, you obviously can experience, fantastic results. And then how it, sort of slowly tapers off. I think it's so reflective of, someone's sort of state of health. And look, at the end of the day, if you had, every week a huge change like you did from week 1 to week 2, I think the body would really battle to kind of hold on to that change. I think invariably the body would kind of go back to its original sort of state of like rest. Whereas, to me, this kind of reflects, something very similar to the percent rectifications. It's nice to get an 80-90% rectification, but the thing that I always speak about is, rather get smaller rectifications that the body can actually, like sort of hold on to. And if you look at this, the kind of gradual change on a, week by week basis, it's slow improvement. But then if you look at it over an 8-week period, I mean, literally every single category here has been reduced, kind of dramatically, or drastically is my new word. Combination of dramatic and drastically.
No,
So
that's
yeah,
really cool. It
definitely
is dramatically. Yeah, it is dramatically
good dramatic
improved.
changes. Yeah.
No, that's really good. I mean, that's one of your angles around the 40% rectification, is sort of these small improvements over time where the body can maintain them and not have a big reversion.
Absolutely.
Isn't that
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, because people often, there's a lot of obsession about the rectification. And I think because as kids, we were taught 75% means you're passing. Anything below 75%, you're failing, ooh, bad. And so people sort of concentrate or focus on why can't I get 75%? Why can't I run it until 75%? And I think it's always great to really to hear from you about what your perspective was in pursuing the 40% threshold. So, what are some of the commonalities, Ryan, that are in the frequencies, no matter what you're playing? I know it's the Schumann resonance. Are there other coherent frequencies that are always in the mix when you're playing the Genius?
Not so much. I think, one thing that we have a sort of constant struggle with is within the frequency, shape, and form, the number of variables that you have there are probably in the hundreds, if not thousands. So, like whenever you're tweaking the sort of frequency, shape, and form, you really are essentially tweaking the sort of delivery output. I think having it set as a default is important. I think an alternating frequency wave, I think is really beneficial as well. But kind of bear in mind that within the system overview, each and every line item that you're looking at there can have anywhere between 8 to I think 16 or maybe 24 different frequencies. Now, over and above that, each and every frequency, we've kind of broken into 6 different amplitudes. And that's what makes it a kind of soliton or a sort of stacked wave. And I think that specific delivery mechanism of taking those frequencies and then breaking them up into those 6 amplitudes is really what is actually giving the kind of effect here. So yeah,
Do the 6 amplitudes act as is it a harmonic? How would you describe it in layperson terms? How it would be beneficial?
Well, I guess there's a kind of 2-part equation. The first part is, if you can imagine a type of sort of typical sine wave that, goes up and down, if you take that up and down, and then inside that, we actually have 5 different amplitudes. So essentially what it's doing, it's like a kind of sort of frequency reinforced process. So it's not just a single amplitude. By having those kind of different amplitudes, in some ways it's like a sort of wobble, like a sort of frequency wobble. To give you an example where, with some of these frequency generating devices, they'll generate, let's say, like 350 hertz as an example. What we do with our technology here as well, which is not, just to be clear, it's not part of the actual amplitudes, but we have a kind of frequency wobble where it'll generate that frequency, but then on certain instances, it's going to generate kind of 2 or 3 frequencies before and then 2 or 3 frequencies after, just in case, the sort of pathogens begin to mutate or sort of resonate at a different level, which is, very symbolic with your typical rife sort of one-way feedback mechanisms. So by having that wobble with a few frequencies before and a kind of a few frequencies after, it certainly makes it, I think it kind of gives us a better broad-based spectrum. But in terms of the actual amplitudes, I think it's just a sort of frequency reinforcement process.
You mean doing it every day?
Yeah, and then equally just having those kind of 6 different amplitudes, within the frequencies. And this is why if you listen to the Genius frequencies, some people love the frequencies, some people want a typical normal sound tone generator, and that's not really my cup of tea, because a simple tone generator is really just that. But by being able to combine a multitude of all these different frequencies, I think is really what makes the Genius so unique, because the body is dynamic, it's constantly changing, and it's able to absorb and assimilate a multitude of frequencies at the same time. So that during that kind of 15-minute process, especially within the progressive insights as well, because if we look at the progressive insights, by default, what it does, if you set it to 15 minutes, it's going to spend 3 times as much time on the actual items that are high versus the items that are low. And then obviously medium, it'll spend, kind of like twice as much time. So again, just kind of looking at that progressive insight, I think it's a really powerful balancing tool, because the items that are high, they're high for a reason. And obviously being high for a reason, when you want to do a 15-minute, auto balancing or whatever it is, I think it's important that we spend more time on the items that are high, because those are the items that are more out of balance than the items that are low. So I think your choice of the progressive insights was actually really spot on as well.
Well, I think it's so interesting you talk about the amplitudes. You know, when we give homeopathic medicines, some of the most effective homeopathics are where they give us a combination, like a drainage remedy, where they go 6C, 12C, 30C, 100C, etc. And it's all in one remedy. Could your six amplitudes be likened to that? Whereas somebody might not resonate with the 6C, but they might resonate with the 12C. And so they get it all together and increases the efficacy?
Absolutely. And obviously amongst the kind of homeopathic purists, there's a very big kind of division between the combination homeopathics and your sort of singular homeopathics with your sort of repertory as well. But look, I am a very strong proponent of, combination homeopathics. Again, it just goes back to the body being dynamic, always in a constant state of change. So having a combination homeopathic is very similar to a kind of soliton or a sort of stacked wave frequency generator.
And do you get the benefit of that six? We can kind of bring the genius in here now that we have it on the Mac. It's such a great, wonderful advantage to have it on the Mac here. And if we just kind of jump in here and we just look at that, your favorite thing here, the frequency, shape, and form. Does the default tone generator, is that the one that generates the six amplitudes?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. And then the other one that we usually use, we had everybody do, is the alternating. So it goes through the ones that you already talked about that. And then anything that you can share with us about the wave power intensity while we're kind of looking at that. People just use the default. Is there an advantage to using X 10%, X 25%, or X 50%?
Honestly, there's really not. It's something that we did put in for, I'm not even too sure why we initially put it in, but when you start putting it up at kind of 50%, it increases the kind of power outputs. But honestly, it sort of distorts the frequencies. And, if you look at, the kind of different variables, under the wave power intensity, we've got four different options. So there's 4 to the power of 4 different variables just within that. You look at the chimes and bells, we've got another 4 to the power of 4. Then you go down to the binaural beats, you got 3, 4, 8, 16 or whatever it is. So you got 16 to the power of 16 different options as well. So there are so many different variables, within this to actually get the frequencies to sound pleasant and to be in sync is really, really difficult. And what we have found is, when you increase it to 10, 25 or 50, it really does impact the actual tone and the sort of delivery of the frequencies. So long story short, if you can keep it on default, I would certainly suggest doing that.
You mean the chimes, keep the chimes and the bells in the mix?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you know what, it's kind of makes it sound better as well. So yes.
Okay. And I just, the briefest thing that you could tell us about the difference between the default tone generator and the sonic signature. And I only ask because we've been having this discussion, sort of mentioning it in class. Like, I love those sonic signatures. They have sort of a almost like a haunting, but I almost feel like it might be emotional, like an emotionally transformative when you're specifically using sonic signatures. Can you tell us anything about that particular generation of the tones?
For sure. I certainly can't comment on the sort of emotional transformative, from a kind of development side, it's, we code the stuff and, ultimately as you begin to code stuff, you get an output. When we originally created this, we had 2 different options, which was the sonic signature, which was the actual kind of sort of frequencies. And then we had the archetype encoding process where it can take, words, affirmations, and convert that to a harmonic frequency. When we came out with this major update that we did, we initially just had, those 2 options, because that's really all there was. However, with the previous build from many, many, many moons ago, the actual sonic signature, it sounded different because it didn't have the chimes and bells, et cetera, et cetera. So really what we did is we just kind of reverted to the original default tone generator that we had in the old sort of 16.9.7. So that is kind of the standard thing that everyone was used to, because, one thing I realized time and time again, and I have this unique skill of never really learning from my mistakes. It's one of my great skills. And, it's like we go through this process and we build out this app and we get very little feedback. And I'm so excited about it. And then we put it out to the user group. And then you realize, people really battle with change. And I'm the same, So you suddenly make all these changes and I'm like, oh, this is really cool. And I'm kind of super happy with all these major technological advancements, but again, the core mistake that I think any business makes, that I have a tendency to make frequently, is you don't actually listen to the user group. So, with that said, we put it out and then we got a flurry of communication, shall we say, and then we kind of reverted to the original tone generator. But just to kind of I sort of emphasize here, this frequency, shape, and form, we have spent so much time developing this. It really is a kind of core component to have all of these different options. And you've got the sound preview option there. I always suggest, listening to the sound preview. I think right now we've got it sort of set up that it's working good, that it doesn't matter what of the 400 or 500 changes you can potentially make here, the harmonics are still being generated and the audio is essentially still pleasing. So we're hoping to kind of leave this frequency, shape, and form as it is right now, because it's kind of working really good. And everyone, is obviously happy with the different tones that are being generated.
Okay, that's fair enough. And the people really appreciate just having that discussion about it. Okay, I'm going to go over a few more parameters. Anything else that you want to say about the study thus far?
No, this is absolutely excellent. And, for everyone that's actually contributed to this, and, you took 8 weeks to actually go through this process with Ariel, I first and foremost want to, thank Ariel for, more importantly, actually having the vision and the inspiration to actually put this together. Because, it's great for us to look at the charts and the graphs here and get an education and see how everyone did. But what we don't realize, and speaking from experience, is the data gathering of this and actually putting it into an Excel spreadsheet and crunching the numbers and everything else. This is not a small project that Ariel undertook. This is a rather vast project. So I want to thank you, Ariel, and all of the attendees and
especially the participants. And Ryan, I appreciate that.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to just really just say that our tribe and our user group is so amazing, because they came through. They're the ones who delivered those questionnaires each and every week, and right to the end, even when we asked them for a post survey study, and we asked them to give those testimonials that you saw, every single person brought it. And so the 103 people, I'm like, we really just have a dedicated, committed user group that is so fun to work with, people who are so passionate,
Very much.
Yeah, but thank you, and thank you to, like we said, to everybody. We had a little pre-launch. We gave away some prizes to the people who participated, and that was great. And I think we'll do more. We'll probably do one for the quantum capsule. We'll do one in different ways now that we've had one under our belt. There are different areas, and people are actually asking for that. They're like, when is the next one? I want to participate in that one. And that was just really cool as well. There isn't too much of a difference in the other pieces of information, but let's just go through them in a little bit more detail. You could kind of actually see them. And I actually said 16% when I was sort of putting it on my calculator, but there was a 17% reduction overall in just the first week. So again, with Ryan's idea of those small improvements can make big changes. And maybe all those frequencies with the 6 amplitudes, something about that generation just really wows people's energy field. There's I think there's like a coherence that happens, like a structuring or an organizing that they talk about in heart math. There's something like that, I believe, that's happening with the genius that is causing people to revert back to a more harmonious, a more ordered state, which is reflected in their sleep first. Ryan, did you have any thoughts about why sleep is sort of the most impacted part in the beginning?
Not offhand. I mean, other than I think if you can help to reduce someone's stress, I think the first impact is obviously your sleep. When you are stressed, I mean, what's the first thing that goes is your sleep. So
yeah,
that kind of,
that's it.
Yeah.
No, that's good. That's good. At the end of week 2, we were at a 22% reduction so this is the overall on average. We were at a 27% reduction. So big, reduction than these little pieces, just really showing that people do hold those changes and sort of improve on them, kind of like Ryan was referring to with the 40% rectification. We're at a 34%. So a third of all symptoms overall on average disappearing in just 4 weeks. I really think that 4 weeks is, maybe it's almost like when you're learning how to drive, or you're learning a song, or you're learning, music or something, and maybe your body just kind of gets the hang of everything at the end of those 4 weeks, at the end of those 28, almost 30 days. And then there's this big shift overall, moving to a place of reduction. So that 1 month does seem like a real sweet spot for transformation. 39% reduction over 5 weeks. So again, we're just comparing. What we did is we just took a comparison of where people were at the beginning and where they were at the end of any particular week. Sorry about this. Let's just say week 5 over here. So week 6, we're at a 43% reduction. This is overall in all the categories. And again, I mean, I was blown away. We started this out not really knowing like where it was going to end up. We said, okay, let's give people a try. But still, I'm just blown away that, when over the years, the practitioners have told us, and I've experienced in my own practice, that people are making like extraordinary changes in their lives. We hear of the, miraculous healings, miraculous improvements, and like overall, we're like, oh gosh, that's great. We get the testimonials, we document, but to see them in black and white is just really, really nice, because we all know it's happening, but now we've been able to really just really curate all of the numerical details on it. 48% reduction at the end of 7 weeks, and a 52% reduction overall in all the categories over 8 weeks. I think that, okay, that was from the class that we did. So that, really is the results of doing the study. And we hope to do more, but we're going to bring this out in some marketing materials, where we're going to have some brochures and summary cards that we're going to give to you as a practitioner, so you can get more clients to come to you. So we'll have it in that form. And then we'll also have it in a form where, when you're going out and recommending the genius to other people, we'll be giving it out in that form as well. So if there's any other questions, we just had a few more comments come through here. Okay, I think we got all of them. So I think we got all the comments here. Can we get the questionnaire to use with the clients? Yes, if you go to geniusbiofeedback.com, go to the Learn menu and then go to the blog. They're all published today. We've given you the questionnaire, and we've also given you the daily process that people use in case you want to recommend that daily process to your clients. So geniusbiofeedback.com, go to Learn, and then drop down to the blog. And in the blog post is you can use it exactly as it is. You can rebrand it for yourself. You could change the questions if you want, but you're welcome to start using it for your client base as well. And then you can use the process that we did. So you can say, hey, this is the process that they use. This is what they did. We're going to do that in your sessions. And, like I said, I think it's a very good thing to do, is to give people those questionnaires. I think there's a question or two here. So let's get to the questions. We can just review. Again, this was the total for 8 weeks, where you can just see what the reductions are. Was this from doing it 15 minutes a day from Nancy? Yes. So what they did is they balanced 15 minutes per day with a very specific process. And as we're sort of just winding things up here, we can just go back and just take a brief look at the process that they did. So we have some of the results that we went over the questions. There were 98 questions that people answered. And so that really tells you something, that people were willing to answer 98 questions one time per week, is that it doesn't take that long to do these questionnaires. They're fillable questionnaires, so they can just drop it down, save that version, boop, 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 boop. They answer, they save it, and then they email it to you. It does not take that long for people to answer these. And it's the biggest tool that you have to show your clients that they're making progress. It's like, look, you answered this. You were all 5s the first week, right? We looked at this one where she was all 5s the first week. Imagine that's your client. It's like, here you were at the beginning. Okay, here you are now. Look at the improvement that you made. It's nice to be able to show people that they made an improvement, because they can't always perceive due to the stress in their daily lives and what they're focusing on their life, their kids, their maybe parents that are aging, things, their work, etc. And so you can actually show them, gosh, look what we had in the beginning. Look what we experienced after 2 months. You can show this to your spouse. You can see, justify, yes, this is making a difference for you. This was the process that they did each and every day. And we also have that available, geniusbiofeedback.com. Go to learn, go to the blog, and you can download this process as well. Norma says, when you put in the tray the meridians, do you open each of the red and blues? I put the name of the meridian only, and what does it contain? We instructed people what to do. I have to go back and look at that because I can't remember if they bring in the meridians, it might bring in all the points. So I'm going to have to go ahead and take a look at that. And that's what it might have done. It might have just brought in all the points because we did tell them to take the reds and the blues of the meridians. I think we might have told them to open up one of the meridians, but I don't remember. We tried to make it super simple. So if I'm remembering, I think we just told them to do the reds and the blues and to drag the meridians into the tray. So that's a good detail. Okay, so Ryan, just bring you back if you're still with us. Just any final thoughts just about the study or anything that you want to sort of recommend or suggest to people or share with them?
Kind of offhand, no, but, the challenge that we kind of faced with, if we look at, alternative medicine or sort of frequency medicine or vibrational medicine, you look at results like this and it's so exciting. And yet you look at the challenges that we have against the allopathic medical community, and it's kind of so frustrating. We all know the kind of dangers that are associated with, different medications. And you look at all the side effects that everyone has. And, I think the side effect when you use the Genius Insight is probably an increase in health and wellness. And if that's a side effect, that's kind of not a bad thing. And, I think the challenge that we have with the allopathic medication is that, they look at medication in terms of like a chemical composition, 2 parts sodium, 1 part hydrogen kind of thing. And that's how they make medication. And obviously it's synthetic in nature for the simple reason it's something that they can actually patent. You start looking at frequencies or kind of balancing tones, you look at energy, you look at meridians, we're looking at voltages and amperages and resistance. And that's how we look at the vibrational bodies. So it's such a different perspective that we have on the body compared to your kind of allopathic medical model. And it's so disheartening because you look at the results like this, you look at the side effects like this, it's absolutely wonderful. But yet it's like time and time again, people are so happy to go to a medical doctor and explain their symptoms, and the guy doesn't even look up, he writes a script, you can't even read what's on that bloody script. They take it to the pharmacy, they get their drugs, and then off they go, they're happy. And it just drives me insane. It's, give vibrational medicine a chance. Like, take a chance with us. We're good. We're not going to kill you. I can guarantee you. We may make you well. We may give you increased energy, but gosh, just give us a chance.
Yeah, I hope that this study showing the results of the study, where of course we disclaim it, we say we don't guarantee this for every person, it's just what our clients report, will make a difference for people where they can look at just the dramatic results of that graph from, beginning to end and say, yeah, let me give it a try. Because you're so right, they do everything in terms of biochemistry, forgetting that we're an energetic being, we're chi, we're vibration, we're frequency, and that's really where the genius, works with people is right where they're at, which is their energy field, like acupuncture. So, but hopefully this will open some doors when people take a, look at that type of a graph and just go, my goodness, like that's amazing to be able to see that. So Ryan, I want to thank you again for, just bringing the genius to us worldwide, having everybody's access. I know anytime we bring you on here, there's always a lot of, comments, like people are so excited to talk with you and really just appreciate you and thank you personally. So I want to thank you so much for all you do.
Well, thank you to everyone that took part in the study. It's absolutely wonderful, beyond my wildest dreams and expectations. So thank you.
Very, very cool. All right, Ryan, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it. And I want to thank everybody again. Okay, there's a quick question here. Actually, just want to clarify on this. So people wanted to know what would be the difference. And, Ryan, I would love your opinion. So people are getting, I love our practitioners because they really get into the weeds of this. So the main question is, well, you take the new picture and voice every day, but when we send it to the quantum capsule, they're running the same frequencies for 7 days. You guys will have to actually do a research project just on this issue. We wanted to focus on the genius for this time. I suspect, even though they're not personalized each and every day, that the person is still going to have amazing results. The only thing that you could do is to actually tell that person, well, you could pay for a session each and every day. This is what I charge for a personalized session each and every day. I really think that the frequencies that they have had tested for that one time is enough for them to derive benefit. So yeah, if a client can't afford to receive a new set of frequencies to run daily, what should be the minimum numbers of times they should receive a new set of frequencies? Once a week. I really do believe that once a week is the magic potion for them receiving new frequencies. Okay. So again, we're going to be developing some marketing materials so you can take this graph and this study. You're welcome to do it now. We want to put it in more formalized marketing material so we can explain what we did, and then you can show that to other people. We've known for a long time that's really important. People ask, like, do you have a study? What are the results? And now we're really proud to be able to say, yes, we did a study. These are the results. This is what our clients, this is what our users told us. So we're very, very excited and happy to be able to do that. I want to thank everybody for attending today. Again, we'll have more little shorts and little clips that you can utilize, but thank you everybody who participated. Thank you everybody who attended today. And Ryan, thank you for joining us today. Final thoughts?
No final thoughts, but thank you. Have a good week.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Take
Bye.
care, everybody. We'll see you real soon. Have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye for now.